He didn't shout. He didn't beg. He didn't fight back. He simply turned around and walked away. And that single silent step would haunt this frontier family for the rest of their lives. Backhand index pointing. Right before we begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional Western stories on Western Storyverse. The wind moved slowly across the dry plains, carrying dust and unspoken tension with it. The half-built wooden church stood behind them like a broken promise. Unfinished, uncertain, just like the family gathered in front of it. Ethan Cole stood at the front, his shoulders heavy, his eyes lowered. His hands were rough, stained with dirt and sweat from years of honest work. Yet today, those same hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from disappointment. Beside him stood Margaret Cole, his mother. She was tall, straight-backed, her gray hair tied neatly behind her head. Her dark dress was simple, modest, and worn with discipline. Her face showed no anger, only resolve. The kind that left no room for mercy. Behind them, a few settlers watched in silence. No one dared speak. This was not just a family moment. It was a judgment. "You have embarrassed this family," Margaret said calmly. Her voice was firm, controlled, more painful than shouting. Ethan lifted his eyes slowly. "I never meant to shame you." "Intentions don't erase consequences," she replied. Margaret believed in rules. In order. In sacrifice for the greater good. This land had been built on discipline, not excuses. And to her, Ethan had crossed a line that could not be undone. The truth was simple and cruel. Ethan had helped a stranger. A wounded man. An outcast. Someone the town had already decided was dangerous. Ethan didn't ask questions. He only saw someone bleeding in the dirt and chose to help. That choice changed everything. The town whispered. The elders judged. And Margaret listened. "You chose him over us," she said. Ethan swallowed hard. "I chose to do what was right." Margaret's eyes hardened. Right for who? Silence followed. Thick. Heavy. Ethan glanced toward the church frame behind them, a place meant for forgiveness, standing unfinished. He almost smiled at the irony. "I won't apologize for compassion," he said quietly. That was the moment. Margaret nodded once. "Then you are no longer welcome under this roof." Gasps moved through the small crowd. Ethan didn't argue. Didn't defend himself again. Didn't plead. He stepped back. The wind picked up as if the land itself reacted to the decision. Margaret folded her hands together. She believed this pain was necessary, that one harsh judgment would protect the family's future. She was wrong. Ethan took one last look, not at his mother, but at the land. The fields he plowed. The fences he built. The home he protected. Then he turned. And walked away in silence. Each step echoed louder than any scream. Behind him, Margaret stood unmoving. Her face calm. Certain. But deep inside her chest, something cracked, though she refused to acknowledge it. The settlers slowly dispersed. Life continued, as it always did on the frontier. Or so it seemed. That night, Margaret sat alone by the lantern. Ethan's chair remained empty. The house felt colder, not from the wind, but from absence. She told herself this was discipline. She told herself this was strength. Yet sleep did not come. Far beyond the settlement, Ethan walked under the open sky. No destination. No plan. Only the weight of rejection and the fire of belief still burning in his chest. He had lost his home. But not his soul. And the frontier had not heard the last of him. Years passed. The land changed slowly, fences shifted, fields expanded, and the unfinished church finally stood complete. But some wounds refused to heal. Margaret Cole had aged more than the years alone could explain. Her hair had turned fully gray. Her hands trembled now when she prayed. And her certainty had faded. Ethan's name was never spoken. But it was never forgotten. Strange stories drifted in from distant towns of a quiet man who helped settlers rebuild after fires, who defended families without asking for thanks, who walked away before praise could find him. Margaret listened. And every time, her heart knew the truth. One autumn evening, a rider arrived at the settlement. His horse was tired. His face was pale. "There's been trouble," he said. "Bandits hit the northern farms. People were trapped." Margaret's breath caught. Who helped them? The rider hesitated. A man named Ethan. The name fell like thunder. He organized the defense, the rider continued. Saved lives. Took a bullet protecting a child. Margaret stood frozen. The same son she had cast out had become the very man she prayed the world needed. Guilt came quietly. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just heavy. That night, Margaret made a decision of her own. At dawn, she traveled north. The journey was long and painful. Every mile reminded her of the silence she had chosen years ago. She found him near a small homestead, thinner, scarred, older. But his eyes were the same. Ethan looked up and saw her. No anger crossed his face. No triumph. Only calm. "You shouldn't have come," he said softly. "I know," Margaret replied. "But I should have come sooner." Silence stretched between them, familiar, heavy, honest. "I was wrong," she finally said. Her voice broke. "I mistook control for strength. And punishment for justice." Ethan said nothing. Tears filled her eyes. "You showed compassion when I showed fear." He exhaled slowly. Years of pain released in one breath. "I didn't walk away because you told me to," he said. "I walked away because I needed to stay true to who I was." Margaret nodded. "And I lost you because I forgot who you were." She reached out, hesitant. Ethan took her hand. Forgiveness didn't erase the past. But it softened its sharpest edges. They returned together, not as mother and obedient son, but as two people who had learned the cost of judgment. The settlers watched again, this time in awe. The church doors opened wide. Margaret stood beside Ethan, her voice steady. "Let this place stand for mercy," she said. "Not fear." And for the first time, the church felt complete. Some lessons are learned too late. But not all endings are tragedies. Backhand index pointing right. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and stay with Western Storyverse, where powerful frontier stories come alive.